Welcome to the Budget-Minded Traveler Podcast, your source for the tips and tactics that will inspire and equip you to travel the world. And the best part? It won't break your bank. And now, the Budget-Minded Traveler herself and your host, Jackie IRL.
We're so grateful to Osprey Packs for partnering with us and supporting the podcast, so please stay tuned for more about them later on. I have an opportunity for you to join me in real life for some real travel. Here's the latest Jump Adventures update. We are going to Greece for a bike and boat island hopping adventure this May 9th to 16th, 2025, and we still have space left. Check out jumpadventures.com to learn more and book now. We're going to have a yacht all to ourselves with ensuite cabins on board, so you get to sleep in the same bed every night as we start in Athens and make our way west toward the island of Corfu. You'll have your own bike for the week, e-bike if you want one, for cycling the islands as we go, in between meals crafted by our private chef on board, and all the relaxing you want to do on the top deck under the Mediterranean sun. These bike and boat adventures are our most carefree and relaxed trips. All you have to do is say yes and show up, and there's still space. Head over to jumpadventures.com to grab your spot now, and we'll see you there. Hey guys, welcome to episode 42 of the Budget-Minded Traveler podcast. This is actually a special episode brought to you by the Adventure Travel Trade Association, Visit Baja Sur, Yahoo Travel, and Red Travel Mexico, which is the organization we are going to be talking about today. As many of you know, I was just in Baja California Sur in Mexico, which is the state that makes up the lower half of the Baja Peninsula. And one of the activities that I got to participate in was spending a day with Red Travel Mexico at one of their sea turtle conservation camps. And this was such an incredible experience for me that I wanted to share it with you and really dive into what this organization is about and what they're doing for not only for sea turtle conservation, but the local communities and all the travelers that come through their camps. And I figured there's no better way to do this than to relate my personal experience alongside the mission of the organization through the words of one of the co-founders himself. So we are going to be chatting with Luis Garduño today, who is the Director of Operations of Red Travel Mexico. So here we go with Luis. All right, I'd like to welcome Luis from Red Travel Mexico to the show. Hi, Luis.
Hey, Jackie. Thank you very much.
Are you in La Paz?
Yeah, we're in La Paz with a very, very sunny day and perfect time to talk to you.
I wish I was in La Paz today. It's been 1 week. I know I should be. It's just been a week since we left you, basically. And yeah, so I mean, for the listeners out there, I was just down in Mexico with these guys, and oh man, I had such a good time in your neck of the woods. It was amazing. So I really wanted you to come on the show today because I'm so interested in what you guys have going with Red Travel Mexico. But I think that the first question that I wanted to ask you was, what is Red? What's behind the name?
Mm-hmm. Well, the word red means net in Spanish.
Net,
it's like
yeah.
Fishing net. It also means like network. And we're thinking about a short name that will stick in the heads of people. Mm-hmm. And it was great because we started working with fishermen and specifically with nets at the beginning of the project. And we were trying to build a network of communities.
Yeah, that's great. Really creative name. I already introduced you a little bit, but will you please give us just a little bit of a background of who you are and where you come from? And then we'll get into talking about Red Travel.
Sure. I'm Luis, as you said, and I am Director of Operations at Red Sustainable Travel. And my background is pretty much in tourism. I have been working with ecotourism for almost 20 years now. And since the very beginning, I've always wanted to do something that achieved the actual definition of what ecotourism means. And that's what we're trying to do here at Red.
Awesome. So what is the mission of Red Travel Mexico?
Yeah, we have pretty much two objectives, three, but we work very, very hard in two. One is to be able to fund conservation efforts through tourism. And the second one is to be able to create sustainable jobs. And with sustainable, I mean both sustainable in terms of conservation and sustainable in terms of finances, create these kind of jobs to local communities and local people in rural areas in Northwest Mexico.
And how do you do that?
We have gone through almost 6 years now learning process. And in this process, we learned that to be able to achieve these objectives, we needed to become an hybrid organization or an hybrid project. By this, I mean that we are both. We are, from one side, a company that operates tours in different areas in Baja California Sur mainly, but we're also an NGO. And through this NGO, we're able to provide in-depth training and follow-up to these communities.
Mm-hmm. And I know that I was just there with you and I got to experience some of this, but I'm going to ask you questions as if I didn't know anything so that we can kind of explain what you guys are doing. I know you provide a really amazing kind of opportunity to the locals. What are the kind of people that you hire to do this?
It's pretty much the people that live there. We look at tourism in a very different way. We're trying to come from the other way around. Instead of, and I will come back to your question. Mm-hmm. Instead of just creating a trip or designing a tour that will satisfy the needs of any market or the markets that we focus in, we start from the other way. So we start looking at the conservation projects and the conservation needs in the region. Then we look at the social environment and the social needs in the area. And then we look at the markets. And with these three things in mind, we designed a tourism product. So the people that we work with, sometimes we employ them, sometimes we hire their services. It's pretty much local people. And this is to be able to strengthen the value chains all the way down the line. Mm-hmm. So, for example, from the woman in the fishing village, who's a small sewing operation we helped launch 5 years ago, and now makes our sheets and bedding for the camp, to the family with a rancho that we work with to build a composting system where we take all of our organic waste, or to the shark fishermen that you met, who we train as tourism lancheros or the panga drivers. Yeah. So instead of being fishing for sharks that specific day, they're working at the camp. And of course, the fisherman that you saw that we recruit to become part of the turtle monitoring team.
Right.
So that's our target people.
Awesome. And so you work very closely with an organization that was already in place, correct?
Yes, specifically in the camp that you went in Magdalena Bay, we work with a conservation organization. It's a sea turtle conservation organization called Grupo Tortuguero. And that organization works in Northwest Mexico. They work in 55 communities. Mm-hmm. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
They work in 55 communities, mm-hmm. and they provide this training and funding to these communities all around to do turtle monitoring. And in our camp, we're able to do it ourselves without them needing to find any other source of funding.
Right. Okay. So your idea was basically to build a place where basically tourism would fund it. So I'm paying for it when I come to stay with you, essentially, is what's happening. And because of that, then you're working with an organization that already is doing turtle conservation, and it just basically is the resource, and it taps into tourism as well. So the people actually become part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Your camp is so cool. Tell us about the camp.
You tell us about the camp. What do you like about it?
I should tell you about the camp. It's so awesome. I loved it because, well, first of all, we got in a rickety old van, which I thought was awesome, and drove 30 kilometers down this desert road that you couldn't even see the end. I mean, it was like this straight road into the desert. Like, you can imagine this in your head. That's what we were driving on. And once we got way out to the end, there was water, and then we got in a boat. And first you took us to the sand dunes, which was just fun. But the camp is just, I mean, it was like a couple of miles out in this bay. I don't even know how else you would get there. I mean, I felt like we were in the middle of nowhere, and it was so amazing because you come across this camp that you guys have built up with these little lights and everything's solar powered, and you're just out in you're completely off the grid, and all you have is, nature and the sunset and the stars and these turtles, and gosh, you somehow managed to have amazing food too. And but I know this was all your vision. So I don't know. Tell us more about it.
You got a really good description of it. Well, basically we try to put the most comfort that we can in a camping environment in the middle of nowhere, so that this interaction with what we try to achieve is our travelers to be fully immersed in nature and with our crew, with the locals, so that this interaction can happen. And what's best than in the middle of nowhere where nothing happens but that nature and people. So we try to set that up in that way where the stars are incredible as nowhere else. The whales are very close. The dolphins come to visit. The sea turtles are right there. The mangroves, the sand dunes. You saw it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing. It was a really great experience, I think, I'm from Montana and I love to camp. I think one thing to mention is, you're definitely off the grid. You're using eco toilets, and it's not it's glamping for sure. We call it glamping.
How do you like the toilets?
What?
How do you like the toilets?
They had a great view. No, you guys have a great system going, and even the little pump sink and everything. It was I loved it all, really. I'd never had an experience of camping in the sand dunes. One thing to say about that is you do end up with a lot of sand everywhere, especially after you run around on those windy sand dunes on the way out there. But
specifically in our Magdalena Bay camp, people really need to understand that when they come, sand becomes part of the family somehow.
Exactly.
There's no way to avoid it.
No, there's not. And actually, I used my GoPro only while I was out there because it has that special encasement, that's like waterproof and sandproof and everything. And I know some people were struggling even with using their cameras out there. So I think it is really important to know that you are going out there. Sand is part of it for sure.
It's included.
Yeah, sand is free. We'll come right back to that. Let's take a moment now to thank our wonderful show sponsors. Osprey is the market leader in technical outdoor, travel, and everyday packs. And I've personally used Osprey packs since 2015. My favorites are the Fairview Trek 50 for multi-day hikes, the Cirrus 24 for day hikes, the Transporter Rolling Duffel 60, which is my trusty check luggage for faraway adventures, and of course, the countless packing cubes I use to organize everything that goes in them. We are proud to support each other on the podcast and beyond. We love getting outside, and we want to see more people outdoors. So find out more and join us at osprey.com. Who is your ideal client? Who do you want to come out there?
We like to receive travelers that are interested in nature, culture, and getting off the beaten path. Mm-hmm. And of course, that are willing or like to interact with the local people. We often have independent travelers or families with children. There is a lot of academic schools and kids that are also coming to our camp. So it's pretty much people that would like to go off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a typical trip, or are there different lengths? What does your trip look like?
We run anything from day trips to 8 days or 10-day trips, and sometimes most of the times when they're so long, they're custom. The most important, our flagship is in Magdalena Bay, and it's 4 days, 3 nights.
Okay, 4 days, 3 nights. Yeah, and what do you do on those trips? Like, what do the days look like?
In Magdalena Bay, you mentioned some of it in this specific camp. Then I can tell you more about the other trips if you want later. But let's grab one. So, for example, for Magdalena Bay, turtles and whales. People arrive to La Paz, and then we make this same drive that you just described, go all the way to the camp. In the afternoon, we arrive to the camp and get to meet the people, all of the crew, and the Grupo Tortuguero representatives that are there to do the turtle monitoring. So we learn about turtles that afternoon. We focus in learning about natural history of the sea turtles. We focus on learning about their cycles of life and also about the monitoring program. And we start using the tools that we'll be using over the next day to measure the sea turtles, etc. In the next morning, we wake up very early, and then we set up the nets. And these nets, as you saw them, we have two, and they're very, very long nets, and they're specialized to be able to trap sea turtles. And these turtles are in a feeding area. So they're not small. They're not like the baby turtles that we're used to see. They are the mamas, or the juveniles. Mm-hmm. And so we trap these turtles with the nets, and we set up the nets, and we leave them. Depending on the tides, it varies a little bit every now and then, but we try to leave them for 24 hours so that we can go also at night. And we need to check the nets every 2 hours. So we take turns to go and check them. And when there's turtles, we bring them back to camp and do all of the monitoring. But going at night, I don't know if you got the chance. Going at night to see the turtles, to check the nets, it's beautiful. Were you able to do it?
I opted to stay at the campfire because I couldn't get on the first trip, and so I didn't want to go on the later one, So. But we had an amazing campfire going and a guitar, and it was like perfection. So
yeah. So at the same time, while we're doing the monitoring, etc., there's more things happening. We have some kayaks in the camp. Mm-hmm. And we can go for a hike in the sand dunes, or we can go and do some bird watching. There is people that also opt to go with some of the fishermen that we work with to do some traditional fishing, just with a little line, or go to learn their jobs and their skills, etc. So we'll do all of that while this is happening, while the monitoring is happening.
Right.
And then that happens all the night. You don't have to wake up if you don't want, but if you do, it's perfect. We have hot chocolate in the fireplace, etc. And then the next morning, we go to look for whales in this specific trip. And whales in this area are very interesting because we're far away from all of the tourists. We have searched for this place in the middle of nowhere so that as little as other boats are there looking for whales. So it's beautiful. It's a place where whales come very close to the boat, and they're in good quantities, and there's no other boats around. So it's a very nice place to be. And then the next of the days, we keep going and do more of these activities that I mentioned, and being in the sand dunes and learn a lot about the people, maybe some cooking classes with our local chef that you like the food, etc.
Uber, yeah, he was great.
Mm-hmm.
He was like...
Hubert used to be a sea turtle poacher before.
I love that story.
He was famous because he used to be the best cook of turtles in San Carlos, in one of the towns where he used to live. And now he's famous everywhere. He's been even in some TV shows cooking.
But saving turtles now rather than cooking.
Yeah. Cooking in the camp. He's been there for 6 years. Mm-hmm. He says that he hasn't eaten any turtle for 6 years. I hope that's true.
Me too. So when it comes to the sea turtle conservation, what kind of progress are you making? I mean, like for the species as a whole. I mean, I know you said there are 5 different, I think you said there are 5 different of the 7 species in Mexico.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, for the big picture, how is it helping?
Well, sea turtle conservation is big and it's very complex. There is a lot of efforts worldwide. And in Mexico, along with Grupo Tortuguero, we are, of course, I'm including Grupo Tortuguero in this. Mm-hmm. We're one of the biggest efforts in Mexico, in Northwest Mexico. The research generated in our camps is part of all of these larger projects. And in Magdalena Bay specifically, we have contributed to the mapping of the sea turtle population through the bay. And that's important because it gives a clear picture of the species health, movement, and also the importance of its habitat. Mm-hmm. But besides getting information of the turtle, the most important part of the Grupo Tortuguero model that we are, through tourism, we're helping to fund and work, it's the social contribution, mm-hmm. where reaching fishermen and poachers through sustainable employment, it's big and it's important. For example, sometimes there's academic groups or NGOs that come and go with projects, and they're extremely interesting and they do a lot. But the turtles will survive or perish as a species basis on what the fishermen do. So working with Red, they realized that the sea turtle is worth more alive than dead.
Yeah, what did you say that they would go for, like $80 or $100 or something for the life of a turtle?
Yeah, or even less.
Yeah. It means so much more, I think, when you're there. Like you said, the social contribution is so important, and it's not just, I think, for the local people, but the tourists as well. People seek out the opportunity to volunteer with sea turtles, and usually they're going down to, the first place I think of is Costa Rica, because everybody knows about that, but you can do this right here in Mexico, and you guys are making a huge difference and touching all the tourists that, come through your camp. And I think that's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like it. And also lots of the people that they come to see the turtles, and they get really, really touched with experience. Mm-hmm. But I think as you did, then they see the overall, the project, that everybody is involved into it, and the kind of people that works with us, and then they get in love with the full thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you get repeat clients?
Yes, of course.
I'm going to be one of them.
Totally.
Is there... Go ahead.
Most of our repeat clients are families and also the academic trips.
Right. That makes sense. I think you're going to get Adventure Week back altogether.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. So what about the cost of the trip? What can people expect to pay? Does that vary a lot, or is there kind of one price?
It's more or less a standard. Depends on what we do, but average it costs between $300 and $350 per day, including accommodation, transportation, meals, drinks, activities, and all of what it's behind.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any specific things that you want your I guess your travelers, your tourists, your clients to know before they come out there? Is there anything you prepare them with?
I think you saw it. They should be ready to find the unexpected and be in the middle of nowhere, and to get to meet a lot of interesting people. And I often like to tell them that they're not here for vacations only, that they are also part of a project.
Right. I think that's really important.
And then they come to work, and part of their work is to interact with our staff. If they can help us somehow to teach them some words in English, or to be there and just have a conversation, that's part of the project. And also be part of the Sea Turtle project and learn about it. Besides that, specifically for Magdalena Bay, as we just said, sand needs to be part of the family.
Yeah. And also, I think I'm going to add something else that was kind of personal for me, but I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to watch the turtle monitoring happen. I'm very sensitive to animals, and I mean, as much as I'm definitely in support of everything that was going on, but you're pulling these turtles out of the water, and it can be hard sometimes, I think, for some people to watch. And so there's that aspect as well.
And I agree completely with you. And this specific individual that we take out using a net, that get tangled in the net, and then coming out to the shore, being in the beach, of course, it has an impact. And sometimes it's not really nice to see it or do it. But talking to the scientists and looking at the overall project, this specific individual that came out and that we tag and we measure give a lot of information for the rest of the project, for the rest of the big picture of the sea turtle conservation worldwide, so that we can create policies, we can learn about migrations, we can learn about feeding grounds, health, etc., and also the social part. So it's worth it.
Right.
The effort of one individual is worth it for the benefit of the full species.
Right. Yep. So is there anything specific that you want your clients to come away with after this trip? What do you hope to instill in them?
For me personally, the most important thing is my mission of living is to connect people and to be a platform for something else. So we like to see RED as a platform for everything. So if travelers can, if this time in our camp or if this time in one of our trips, it's a platform for them to get inspired with something else, that it's achieved. The goal of the full camp is achieved then.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If this works for them to realize some idea or a project or get inspired to be a better dad or mom or share things with other fishermen or learn about other cultures, then that's a go.
Yeah, then you've succeeded, right?
Uh-huh.
So I have to ask, do you always throw margarita parties on the beach for the last night at sunset?
Yeah, we do.
Because that was so
nice.
Sand
dunes, it can be in the beach, it can be somewhere else.
Yeah.
We don't do that with the academic trips, but the rest, yes,
Right.
of course.
Right. It was so nice to watch the sunset over that. You guys have such a great view out your back door there. Yeah. Well, this has been really awesome. Most importantly, where can we go to find out more or to follow you guys, what you're doing?
The best place is our website. It's www.redtravelmexico.com.
redtravelmexico.com. All right. I'm going to be linking to that on the show notes page for everybody too. Thank you so much. It's been really great. I really appreciate you coming on to share all of this. And I really hope that people are going to be inspired to come visit you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Jackie. And I hope so too. We wait for you to come back and all of your audience to be here also.
Awesome. We'll see you. I'll see you back there.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Luis from Red Travel Mexico, formerly known as Red Sustainable Travel. They're actually going through changing their name right now. But I hope you found that inspiring. And as always, you can find the notes from this episode on the show notes page, as well as links to the full written story at thebudgetmindedtraveler.com/42. And please check out redtravelmexico.com to learn more about this organization and how you can be involved. And before we go, I have one last treat for you. Remember how I talked about how great the bonfire was? Well, I have a piece of that experience to share with you, led by one of the videographers that was on our trip, who also happens to play a mean guitar. This is our group singing along with the one and only Hassan Saloom. Just imagine that you are sitting at a bonfire in the middle of nowhere with nothing but a blanket of stars over your head and incredible company. Enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.